Alright, motherfuckers, it's the morning after, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what happened yesterday at UFC 89. As always, we learned a lot from the event. We learned that Sokojo has absolutely no cardio. We learned that British judges don't like afros, and that British fans hate watching their fighters lose as much as American fans do. There were 6 decisions on the card, and some of them were more controversial than others, but that's just the way the judges play it. If you're a good fighter, you have to be good enough to finish fights. You can't just let the judges take advantage of everything. As Dana White regularly points out on The Ultimate Fighter, it's not always the judge's decision that's the right one, but you can't always change it. Sometimes judges make stupid decisions, sometimes refs have stupid stoppages, but as a fighter you gotta make sure that happens as little as possible, and you gotta make sure that you win as many fights as you can. And in order to win those fights, you have to keep them from going to the judges. A lot of the UK fans are upset over the Paul Taylor decision, and let me tell you, I gotta say, I thought that Chris Lytle won that fight. I thought that he did more damage. I thought that he had more control of the bout. I don't think there was any point where Taylor was looking to stop the fight. I don't think there was a point where he was winning. There were definitely points where Paul Taylor was doing damage, but there were points where Chris Lytle was doing damage, and there were points where Chris Lytle was definitely looking to finish. I didn't see the same from Taylor, and as a result, I kind of expected Lytle to win the decision. The fact that so many guys on this card didn't finish is really painful for me. I hate watching 3-round fights. I hate watching all this boring shit. And I hate watching guys who don't look like they're trying to do anything with the fight. It looks too much like boxing to me. And if it sounds like I'm trying to rag on boxing, that's because I am. The upper echelon of boxing is the way it is, which is to say, not very successful and not very exciting, because guys don't want to finish anymore. Sure, there are guys like the Klitschkos who do enough damage that the refs have to stop the fight, but realistically, these guys aren't looking to finish. They're looking to do damage, and they're looking to make their opponent look uglier than they are when they walk out of the ring. And that's not the spirit of pugilism, and it's not the spirit of fighting. Now, everybody talks about the spirit of fighting as this kind of great Zen Buddhist honorary abstract. That's bullshit. The spirit of fighting is going out there and trying to kick the crap out of the other guy. It's trying to show the world that you are the best at what you do. Trying to show people that you can do more damage than the other guy, that you can finish the other guy, and frankly that you're the best in the world. That's what makes fighters like BJ Penn exciting. That's what makes fighters like Anderson Silva exciting. That's what makes Fedor Emelianenko exciting. Every time he steps in the fucking ring, you know what he's coming to do. He's coming to hurt his opponent, he's coming to do more damage, and he's coming to win. I will say this for Bisping. In the past, he has tried to finish opponents. I think maybe he was just a little intimidated by Chris Lieben's power. That said, you can't be intimidated by guys' power in the upper echelon, especially when you consider that Lieben isn't nearly as powerful as Franklin or Henderson, much less Anderson Silva, who would wipe both these guys across the canvas. So my general rule for all the guys on this card who didn't finish, start doing it, otherwise you won't be looking at a title shot anytime soon. And boring fighters may get their contracts renewed, but they're the ones who get thrown to the wolves when good up-and-comers show up. They're the ones that get used as stepping stones. So step the game up so that you can get the fights that you want. Now that that's been said, since it kinda needed to, I wanted to talk about the one thing on the card that I actually liked in the fight. The one thing that I think matters to the sport, and that's Shane Carwin. For people who didn't get to watch Shane Carwin or miss the fight, this is a guy who does a lot of damage, who's very strong, and who knows how to finish fights. Carwin is a top fighter not because he's beaten top opponents, because certainly he hasn't beaten that many top guys yet, but because everybody he's finished in the first round. He's 10-0, he's got 10 finishes, and he's a force to be reckoned with in terms of his physical abilities. He showed against Neil Wayne that he can do damage, that he can move, and that he can cut through a half guard like it's nothing, which is something that a really good fighter needs to know how to do. A lot of ground and pounders in MMA nowadays just kind of sit in the half guard and deal damage. Carwin was smart enough to pass the half guard of a decent Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter, though not necessarily a great one, and he got to a good position and he started to do damage. At this point, there are a lot of ground and pounders in the UFC heavyweight division, but Carwin's the most interesting to me because at least he has some good boxing skills, as we saw in his fight with Christian Wellish, and at least he knows how to get through the half guard to a dominant position. Cain Velasquez in his fight with Jake O'Brien showed that he can do that too, but I don't necessarily think that he did it on the same level that Carwin did. While I think Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar are good prospects for the UFC, they have very similar games, and I don't think that their games are necessarily as diverse as they should be. Carwin excites me because it seems like he's working on other aspects of his game. Is he going to get a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt? Probably not. But he is going to try and learn the game well enough that he can do serious damage to fighters with all sorts of game plans. Lesnar and Velasquez may get caught as soon as they fight a really solid Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt like Fabricio Verdum, or Frank Mir, or Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. But Carwin's showing that he's working on his game to the point where he can still do damage to those guys on the ground in their game. So if you're looking for a great heavyweight prospect, ain't nobody better than Shane Carwin right now. Alright, motherfuckers, that's all I got on UFC 89. Peace.